Hello fellow audio nerds, I'm Steph, and this is Major Hi-Fi. This week I've got another budget audiophile IEM for you, the Fiio FA1. So what can you expect from this IEM? Is it worth the money? And who is it for? Let's go back in time, I'll share with you my first impressions, and then I'll meet you right back here for my overall thoughts. Alright, here we go. Oh, hey, Steph here. Before getting started into the review, I just want to say a quick thing. If you like this review and you find it really helpful, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel. We definitely want to try and grow a little bit, so definitely want to hear your feedback as well. So let us know what you think in the comments down below. Alright, thanks. I'll see you in the review. Hey, welcome to my place. So today I have with me the Fiio FA1. So let's see what's inside the box here. Alright, so as you'll see here, we've got a few accessories. First things first, we've got some ear tips, various sizes and things like that. We've got a cleaning tool here, a hard shell protective carrying case that kind of clasps shut. And then we've got the IEMs themselves, which also have a detachable cable, MMCX cable. So taking a closer look at the FA1, so the driver housings have this really kind of cool, curvy sort of shape to them. They're made of like thick plastic, it seems like, but you can see through them a little bit. It's not like just a normal sort of like see-through transparent, because when you look through it almost looks like, you know, you're getting a fun house sort of mirror kind of like look at the inside of the IEMs, but it makes them really kind of fun and cool looking without being too loud. They still kind of have this dark tonality in the color that just is really good looking, and they're kind of glossy and shiny and look really nice. But you will see that the actual shape of the of these housings kind of have like somewhat of a semi-custom kind of shape to them, like they're supposed to follow the shape of the ear. So I am curious to see how they fit for me here. Oh yeah, they fit super comfortably, securely. They're really sound isolating. And I have relatively small ears, but these are very, very comfortable. I like the fit a lot, and I think because of the kind of curviness of these, they do touch the ear, but it feels really natural and just like super comfortable. Like it fits the shape of my ear perfectly, actually. It's really, really nice. And then to sort of add to that kind of like ease with the shape of the driver housings, then this cable, which has, you know, you'll see it has kind of like a tight hook to it that really helps to solidify it in the ear and just like keep it in place so that it doesn't want to come out. But the nice thing about the plastic driver housings is that they actually are really lightweight, so gravity doesn't want to pull them out, and they just feel really nice and light and comfortable. Super easy on the ear, for mine anyway. Now inside the driver housings here, there is one balanced armature in there. It's a Knowles driver, and then as for the cable, it's actually, according to Fiio, a pretty high-end cable, especially for the price. So it's sort of this lit style. You'll see that each side has you know, individually insulated conductors here that kind of twist together, meet in the middle, and then twist all the way down to this 3.5mm termination. But the type of copper is actually the oxygen-free silver-plated copper, so it's a really nice quality cable, especially for the price that you're paying for these IEMs. And then of course they do connect to the shell here via MMCX. So I am very excited to give these a listen. Let's see how they sound. Yeah, I was just listening to the song Normal by Conor Oberst in the Mystic Valley Band, and what I found with the kick drum in this song is that it sounded really natural sounding. It didn't feel like any part of the kick drum took precedence over another. It just sounded really full and natural, but wasn't super extended. It definitely seemed to have most of its energy kind of not in the sub-region, but a little bit above that. So it was kind of interesting, felt really nice, and had good separation from the low mids in the song from the bass guitar in the song. Nice. I was just listening to the song Carolina in My Mind by James Taylor. The acoustic guitar felt nice and like present. So did the vocal, and the voice of James Taylor's really kind of sat with a lot of emphasis in the face. And I'll also say, the bass guitar sounded a little bit louder in the mix, but not like the low mids part of it. Like more of like a little bit higher in the frequency spectrum felt a little bit more emphasized. Something that was sort of interesting was that the mid-range definitely had that most of its emphasis in that attack of the acoustic, and then like the piano kind of hammers. So it seems to be leaning more toward that direction than like thickness in the mid-range. All right. I was just listening to the song "Sweet Spot" by Kim Petras, and I got a lot of nice articulation from her voice. The sort of like brighter synths definitely had a bit of emphasis there, and the high frequencies didn't sound super thick, but they definitely had this really nice feeling of detail to them. And especially in the voice, it just came through this really beautiful kind of sense of airiness. I mean, the voice is mixed kind of brightly, but where it's emphasized wasn't harsh, but rather just kind of gave it this really pretty, like, air to it, if you will. So that was kind of an aesthetically pleasing quality of the IEMs and the high frequencies. I will say too, there was really nice detail with the hi-hat, which it didn't come through in a really like thick, chunky way. It more so just had this like really kind of nice, delicate kind of feel to it, which sounded nice for this song. Alright, so I was just listening to the song Quizás, Quizás, Quizás by Pink Martini. I really liked the sense of height with these. There's really nice extension in the high frequencies, and this kind of plays out in a vertical domain, that with the shakers, with the voice, with the little details in this song, it just gives a really nice tall image of the sound. And it also sort of, for this song, helped to kind of make things feel a little bit wider. The shakers, the guiro, had a nice kind of pan to them, and the strings also seemed to have that nice kind of feeling of width to them as well. The feeling of depth was definitely skewed in the song, partially I think because of the high mid kind of presence with these. So the voice really sat forward a lot, but there wasn't a whole lot of a sense of depth. I think because of the way that middle part of the mid-range is sitting back a little bit, like the strings, which usually feel a little bit further back and that kind of thing, didn't sit quite as far back. But anywho, I'm definitely going to keep listening to these and analyzing them, and I will meet you back at the Major Hi-Fi office with my overall thoughts. Alright, here we go. Overall, the low frequencies of the Fiio FA1 have a little bit of a boost, right around 80 hertz. This gives it a little bit of a feeling of punchiness, kind of brings it to life a little bit, although the low frequencies aren't overly emphasized. They really feel like they sit in a comfortable place in the mix, so that it doesn't feel overpowering, but still gives you a little bit of that kind of groove to it. Overall, the middle frequencies of the FA1 definitely feel present. They have an emphasis in the high mids around between what sounded like 4 and 5 kilohertz, and as a result, it sort of brings vocals forward, kind of keeps the vocals centered around the face region, and just overall gives a sense of articulation to mixes as a whole, and also to the attacks of different instruments like drums and the strums of guitars and kind of the string part of strings. Now, in addition to that, there's a cut around what sounded to me like 2 kilohertz. Now, this cut sort of makes the mid-range have the sense of spaciousness, like the high mids and the middle part of the mid-range can sort of exist on their own and have good separation from each other. Now, the middle part of the mid-range was sort of interesting. The low mids did not feel overly emphasized at all, and actually, bass guitars seemed to sit a little bit behind in the mix level-wise. However, I did notice a little bit of a boost around what sounded to me around like 300 or 400 hertz. And what this does is it sort of brings a little bit of thickness in, and really kind of brings out the notes of basses and that kind of thing. More of like a finger sound than like a chesty kind of sound of those bass guitars. But it is sort of an interesting mid-range, one that definitely kind of has this element of a smiley face to it, with all the presence in the high mids and then that middle part kind of having a little bit of extra emphasis there. Now, as for the high frequencies, there's definitely this interesting phenomenon that goes on with the high frequencies of these IEMs. So cymbals to me kind of have this feeling of delicacy. There's a boost around what sounded to me like 7K in the lower treble, and then another boost around maybe 10-11K in the upper octave. But the upper treble around like 9 or 10K to me really sounded like it had a significant cut, and that cut really kind of changes the shape of the high frequencies. Now it kind of gives this cymbals this feeling of delicacy, yet they really maintain their attack and really maintain their feeling of articulation. But in terms of their sustain, the sustain kind of feels a little bit choked. So I actually liked these better for genres and the way they deal with vocals than I liked them for super complex cymbals, for example. I liked it better for simpler, less harmonically rich instruments like shakers, like little hand drums, things like that, than like a jazz cymbal, for example. So as a result, I really liked it for pop music, and I also liked it for hip-hop, but I was less keen on it for jazz and less keen on it for kind of folky acoustic music. Finally, as for the soundstage of the FA1, none of the three dimensions really sounded overly expansive, but they did perform well. As for the feeling of width, there was good differentiation between the notes where they're sort of panned in space. It definitely felt a little bit narrow, but not in a way that made it not expressive enough. I think that it still did a really good job of expressing kind of cymbal flares and things where mixes go from like middle-centered solo stuff to like more wide parts like in choruses. As for the feeling of height, I think that the high frequency kind of brightness of these IEMs gave a really good imaging to the sound, kind of made it feel taller, and definitely helped to differentiate where things were sitting. There was good contrast between the kind of lowness of that 80 hertz kind of boost and that kind of more airy upper octave kind of boost as well. And then finally, as for the depth was my least favorite part of the soundstage, just because I couldn't hear as much of the room or the reverbs as I would have liked that would have kind of brought it more to life. There definitely is some differentiation there, and there's definitely a feeling of intimacy with these IEMs, but if you're looking for something with a really deep soundstage, these really won't be the ones for you. But if you like that kind of more intimate sound, then you might really like these IEMs. Overall, the FA1 is a really great option for those that like detail, like a nice detailed high-frequency response, and want that presence. So if you like to hear kind of the attack of things, if you like movement in those high frequencies, then I think you'll really like these IEMs. They have a great fit, and they're absolutely just so comfortable. And then the beautiful thing, too, is that they have the MMCX cable so that you can kind of mix and match with different kind of cables and accessories and things like that. Thank you so much for watching. For another perspective on the Fiio FA1, be sure to check out the description box down below. I've left a link to my colleague's review there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Alright everybody, I will see you next time. Bye.